silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 725, Plane.
The dregs of January.
You never would have expected a prequel to the Dane Cook Disney movie, but here it is.
Nope, you're not
I thought it
wrong.
was a prequel to Fantasy Island. It's the difference in our ages.
That's true.
Yeah.
The Dane Cook Planes movie.
Yeah.
I know people like it when I say the wrong title of a film, and just so you know, in my head, it was Plain.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Okay.
And on the screen,
Yeah.
it was also Plain.
Painfully.
I won't even say painfully.
Oh, man.
Like, I will never watch this movie again.
No.
I don't care. This movie is like if an AI chatbot wrote an action movie.
Well, give them a reason to listen. Don't spoil it.
They're already here.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah. So let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom. Before we dig in, we have to make you wait, according to Kevin. Shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review.
Like Chuck Norris 787.
Dun, dun, dun.
A 5-star review. Love, love, love. 5 stars are not enough. Love Real Spoilers. Y'all are doing some incredible work. I've recently graduated from college with a film studies degree, and I've listened to many, many film review-themed podcasts throughout my time at school.
I just have to say,
Yes.
don't you love it when we get people in and around the industry that listen to this show, and you're like, the people that know what they're doing, listen to us talk
You
about it?
I know,
dunces.
because it's at the end of the day, like, we're knowledgeable on it.
Yeah.
But, like, just, like, as fans,
Yeah.
right? Like, nobody's like, well, I think they should have used this lens when they
Correct.
shot. Like,
But maybe
oh.
that's why they enjoy it, though, because if you ever listen to the intellectual movie podcast,
it's not enjoyable.
and the people that read like huge essays and they have it all typed out with the biggest words and the fancy, and it's like they are so boring.
Pretentious is the
Yeah.
best possible
I mean,
word.
it's bad.
It's
It's like
real
because
bad.
it's like an essay, but you're just reading it into a microphone. It's like, why are you just publish it then? Like,
Or have fun.
Yeah.
right,
Go to a movie and have fun.
Right.
Yeah, that's a novel idea.
Yeah.
And we'll always come back to this one. I will even go as far as to say I solely listen to y'all when it comes to movies and television. Bucket list item for me is to one day be able to be on a podcast with y'all, but only time will tell, I guess. Keep up the good work. Longtime listener, Josh.
Well, thank you, Josh.
Thank you,
Now
Josh.
that is an achievable goal. You know, when you set your sights on something,
Yes.
like if that is your dream,
Yeah, we're not This American Life.
No,
Right,
no,
like
you can
it's-
absolutely make
Yeah,
a
you're not going into the garage with Mark Maron.
What was
Although
the,
we do have the same mics.
That's true. What was the other one where people could come in? It was a bug. Oh, the Moth.
Yeah.
That was
What?
one. There was
Oh.
the podcast, The Moth, where
like
like
you're
they
talking
would,
about the backseat of a
no,
Volkswagen.
yeah, what? That's like an uncomfortable position. But that I feel like
Yeah,
that
just
one,
hand stuff in the backseat of a
right.
Volkswagen.
Yeah. Well, you can't do the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's too
Well, I'm
cramped.
shorter. I could probably pull it
That's
off.
fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ben Affleck's a huge guy.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. Is that podcast still going on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was the one.
Backseat of a Volkswagen? Yeah, it's OnlyFans.
Trademark
though.
reel that
Yeah.
one. That's trademark exposed right now. But that was one where they would like go around with like a
It's like a story.
studio, right? And you could walk in and you could tell your story. And they
Not
would just-
really. They did like a little thing once.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But like,
Was that what you were on?
No, I was never on the Moth.
What's the one you
Didn't
told
you
your
do
story
You did
for,
something
though?
like that though, right?
Yeah,
you told
your
the
ICP story.
Oh yeah, what was that called? Oh man, it was similar, but he would
Okay.
like edit it and like put in sound effects and like create. Oh man,
Oh, we thought you were on something fancy. Never
Yeah,
mind.
no, I was not.
He was on
something
backseat of a
fancy. I was on
backseat of a Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
Never mind.
I was Volkswagen.
Yeah, that ICP story is pretty fantastic.
Oh, it's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story. to go back to like episode 5 to find it. It's somewhere in there.
God dang it.
So how was your weekend?
It's good. It's good.
good so
it's busy.
far?
It's busy.
Good,
Yeah,
yeah.
very busy. Of course, now everybody wants to. Bella's at the age where she wants to have friends over.
Bella's at the age where she wants to be our social media manager.
She said she listened to it,
Oh.
and I was like, "You did?" And she's like, "Yeah, you talked about me." I was like, "I did." And then she put that. I did not realize that she had commented on it. Also, didn't know she had a YouTube account.
Right,
there you
Like
go.
that's the other thing.
All the tweens have YouTube accounts.
We're undercover. See, that's really the reason we're trying to draw out all our kids that we know secretly.
Yeah,
It's the only
right,
way we can
right.
get our kids to pay attention to
That's
us.
also true.
So that podcast I was on was called The Lapse.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that guy does a great job, and I think he
Yeah.
stopped doing it. It was so much work that
Yeah.
he would put into it. It wasn't like what we do. But
Sorry, Josh.
yeah, but yeah, it's called The Lapse. So if you want to hear my ICP story, it's
fantastic.
Go on iTunes or whatever. Look for something called The Lapse.
Also, I'm gonna toot Tom's horn for him. He's a
Oh.
fantastic
Is that,
story.
this isn't backseat of a Volkswagen.
I know that's
Yeah.
true. He's a fantastic
You have to
storyteller.
pay for that.
well, thank you.
Yes,
I try.
so that is a very good story.
And this
Yeah.
guy did a great job of how he pieces it together. Too.
Sure.
Like, because when I first with sound effects, I was like, that sounds dumb, but he does it in a kind of understated way that makes it work.
Oh,
Like an
okay.
audio drama.
Yes.
These are with the sound effects.
He got Shaggy, Too Dope, and other guy to do a comment. He's like, man, that
Violent
never happened.
J.
But there we go. Yeah.
Shaggy 3 Dope.
My favorite thing about one of those guys is they took a wrestling corner. They were in WCW for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And one guy took a power bomb from a guy named Mike Awesome. So if you don't go Google Mike Awesome, because he was terrifying. He's dead now. But took a power bomb onto the top of a bus, and then he was supposed to land on the bus, but he slid off.
Whoops.
And Mike Awesome you can see it on TV, like he's trying to catch him, which negates the entire character of what he was trying to do. But yeah, Violent against Violent J. Who's the smaller one?
I don't know.
The smaller one slides off the side of a bus.
I think that's Violent.
and it
J.
is hilarious to watch.
That's how he got his nickname after Mike Awesome power bombed him
And
off.
Mike Awesome was a terrifying man.
You thought Jay was giving the violence.
Yeah, no, he was on the receiving end.
Violent, comma Jay.
Yeah, off
He'll do both. He's bi-violent. Yeah. Violent J.
Violent J.
Violent
Trademark.
J.
God, that's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now the Juggalos are going to be all mad at us.
Whatever.
Because we have so many listeners.
Yeah, right.
So
They were the intro music for who?
The Oddities.
Okay, the Oddities.
Yep.
I just remember that because I used to watch wrestling.
1998.
Yeah.
It was
sort of like, oh, yeah, dumb
yeah, it was
diddy dumb. Yeah.
Golga, and there was a giant guy, and then there was Luna Vachon.
Come and get down with the clowns.
Oh, then they have to edit. The best part is now that that's on the network, they
Yeah.
got to edit all that out, so they don't have to pay ICP.
Oh, that's
any
hilarious.
royalties. So you can still see the crowd responding to the song, but the song they
Crickets-
put in
they
makes
put in-
no sense.
Oh,
yeah.
they put it in
They put
different
in their own song, and it makes no sense.
Okay, that's hilarious, though. Think about how you can mess with people and put in different songs.
They do it all the time.
Yeah.
Anytime they had like licensed music.
Watch WKRP on
Oh, yeah.
Vudu.
Yeah, even Saturday Night Live, where they take out the acts.
Yeah,
Like,
they-
all the musical acts were taken out.
Yeah.
Dubbing over them is
They
hilarious.
do, and you can
though.
still hear it. Like you can hear it. Like it's not
they
the dub
can't
isn't
quite-
good. Dub
yeah.
isn't good enough to cover up live music on a pay per view.
Right.
It's pretty great.
So anyway,
Sorry.
shameless
That's your
plugs.
tangent.
That's it. I'm
Yeah,
done.
you're done with wrestling. At least
I-
we got out of the way early.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
can peacefully
One
enjoy
per
the rest
episode, right? I
of
mean,
the
that's-
podcast.
Hey,
So,
I'll take one per episode.
well, I mean, you do it whether
That's true. I'm gonna do it
we
either
let
way.
you not. So it's like we try to limit it.
Yes, it's a
to
limit,
one.
not a perk.
'Cause-
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, you can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/real spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. You can share an episode. That's always super grateful when you guys do that. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week are Chris Magic Man, Gabriel Lugo, Travis Tewitt, Chris Falls, Ralph Tribble, Chris Sanders, Julianne Jordan, Tammy Lynn Powers Betts, Heather Sachs, Josh Rosen, Christopher Rex, Matt Neglia, Ronnie Castle, Dissect That Film, Binge Movies, Geek to Me Radio, Spoiler Piece Theater, Mike and Oscar, Feel and Film, In Session Film, and Ryan Terry. So thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that. And finally, if you want to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content, even more Matt Bassler.
What more could you want?
And we like you extra.
That's right.
So there's all
It's
that.
just a shame he's not in the rotation anymore.
Hey, man,
It's a really
he
short-lived
mucked it up.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also say I did a guest spot on a podcast called the Screen Run, where
Okay.
they are going through the
all movies about diarrhea.
That's the worst. Like a take a through a screen door, as my dad would
That's
say.
Tom's nickname in the theater.
Through a screen door?
No, I've got a pee.
Screen run. He does a screen run.
Yeah, fair.
Peeing.
I was lucky enough to guest on the Escape from New York episode.
It's a shame they didn't get you on for the really good one.
Escape from L.A.
Don't worry. I said if you don't have anybody to come back for that one, I will happily.
They were like, no one wants to come back.
I
for
will.
that one. It's like,
I'll do it in a heartbeat. So yeah, that episode from the Screen Run podcast is out now. So check them out.
Did they choose you because you're St. Louis connections?
I don't think
Did
that
you talk about it?
No, that was so. I told them that after the fact. Like when they asked me, I was like, I'm from St. Louis, right? And they're like, yeah. I was like, this movie was filmed here. Like a lot of it was filmed here. But I think I came as a recommendation from Binge Movies.
Binge.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. There you go.
I've been on Binge Movies. They've never recommended me for anything.
It's John Carpenter and Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
That's
Guess it's somebody.
right up my alley.
Monkeys only made the one movie.
Abbott and Costello when they did when the Screen Run podcast decides to cut through the Abbott and Costello
All
filmography.
56 films.
Right. Wish you the best of luck.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Night in the Tropics to Dance with Me, Henry.
What's the the yearly range? When do they start? When do they end?
40.
Okay.
Because maybe 39, but I think it was 40. Because their first movie was called Night in the Tropics, where they're like featured players in the movie. It's not a full film around them.
Yeah.
And then their next movie comes out. Maybe it's 1941, and that's Buck Privates.
Yep.
And Buck Privates is an all Abbott and Costello movie. One of their best films.
Agreed.
If you're only going to see one, Buck Privates is a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then that movie ended up being a massive juggernaut of a film because it came out right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Oh.
They actually, I believe, went and reshot an opening scene to address the fact that they're at war, or that we were about to be at war. You know?
Okay.
But people were very much in a military mindset, because of the impending war,
Sure.
and so Buck Privates is what really made them film stars. And then I think their last movie together, it's called Dance with Me, Henry. It's not very good, and I think that was 53,
Holy cow.
54. So they made
That's a hell of a run.
I mean, they were making 2 and 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they had a radio show
And a TV show, right?
and a TV show. They produced 56 episodes of TV.
Dang.
So, and the show's actually really good. The show is, it's a great way to just the movies. If you don't want to get bogged down in the plot, if you just watch the show, they reuse almost every one of their classic routines within the show. So
Right.
it's a great way to.
Are they sketches? Like they dress up and do little bits?
No, it's they live in an apartment complex.
Oh, it's like a
and-
sitcom.
Yeah, it's
Before a sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, no sitcoms existed at this point. I mean,
okay.
I Love Lucy.
Oh,
and
sure,
stuff
sure.
like that. But and sitcoms actually migrated from radio, right? Most of your early television shows had been radio shows, and they just picked them up and moved them to television.
I got you.
So I Love Lucy had actually been a show. I believe it was called My Favorite Wife.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and
sounds familiar.
But it wasn't with Desi Arnaz. It was with a different actor, and then she was like, I'm going to do it with my husband if you want me on TV. And then they were like, well, no one would believe that you're married to a Cuban. And she's like, but I am married to a Cuban.
Guess what?
Was this in the movie? This sounds familiar.
I think they might have
they
addressed
touched
it
on
in that film that
Yeah.
Aaron Sorkin
That's
made.
a pretty good movie.
It was.
I liked it.
Yeah, it
Nicole
was
Kidman one?
decent.
Yeah. I didn't think it was as good as people said it
Agreed.
was, but I enjoyed
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Okay, interesting.
You know
That's
what's
a good run.
If you think about it, I know there's CDs and you could still, and the vinyls if you still have them, but all those radio shows are just lost to time. No one listens to those anymore.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are for historical purposes
Well, I
that
think-
spawned things and influenced things, but they're just kind of as
I feel like podcasts are starting to kind of do
no,
those
I know, but
again.
those
Oh,
those
you mean
historical
those actual- yeah,
documents?
yeah.
If you think about movies, well, sure, they've got Criterion, and so they release all these old things and restore them and
Shout
everything. But
Factory.
but no one is really doing that for the radio.
and
shows.
they need to restore some of those old ones.
Right.
Because like some people have posted old time radio just as podcasts. So
Yeah.
they're out there. And I was winding my way through the Jack Benny program. And
And they're all crackly and
well, I
noisy
mean,
and stuff.
like by the end, they're not, but those
Right.
early ones
Rough.
from like the 30s, I mean, like I don't even know what they would have used, but it's like clearly this is only preserved because somebody set up a recorder in
Right.
front of a radio, which is bad now.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine
Right.
what that would have been like back then.
They're just holding a microphone like up to the
Right.
radio.
Yeah, I
Basically,
mean that's
like
what they
that's
were
what a
doing,
recorder
but like,
is doing, yeah.
but an
old one.
a quality microphone from 1930.
This is no
right?
talk boy, Joe. This is
Yeah.
old technology.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
That
yeah,
is
it
true. That's a
it
good
is
point.
shame.
It's like they restore movies all the time, but that is a part of entertainment that is lost to time.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just kind of or the ones we get is just some garbage.
Like,
you
think
know.
about no one watches I Love Lucy anymore, but just think about, like, there's a show that inspired that, and at some point, people are just not going to remember that. You know, like, I mean,
there's
next generation.
Look at all
is
this.
not-
I mean, all the superhero stuff. I mean, the Superman radio shows and
True.
I think Batman had a radio show, but those Superman ones, it's the same voices I think as the Fleischer cartoons.
Okay.
Like it's the same
They
voice
hired
cast.
them to
It's the
do
same.
the-
Yeah, it's
yeah.
the same guy.
Man, those Fleischer cartoons are great.
Oh, God, they're so good. And even when they cleaned, like they looked fine and serviceable before
Yeah.
they cleaned them up.
Yeah.
But when when those Blu-rays came out and they took their time with those,
Yeah.
like, oh boy.
I mean, that's exactly direct inspiration for the animated series.
Oh, for sure.
They took it and modernized it, but all the art style is
yeah,
inspired.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
it's great.
It's so good.
But the animation is just amazing. Like just little things like when they're in front of the window in the Daily Planet and you see the cityscape.
Yeah.
And as the camera moves, the buildings don't just scroll past. Like the angle on the building shifts.
It's insane.
In the same way that it would in real life. Like
yeah.
normally the building
I
just
think
keeps.
that was
yeah.
rotoscope. I think that's what they were.
I'm not sure what they were doing, but it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even the way he moves.
Yeah.
There's one where he's flying up like a laser beam, and he's just punching
He's
things.
punching that laser
Oh
beam
man,
back.
which
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense. but neither does a flying man.
Correct.
So
yeah, you let it go.
Yeah.
but
I
man,
miss-
those are amazing.
2D animation, when it was an art form where they paid so much attention, they weren't just trying to crank stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, it took so much time and so much money, but the beauty of that art
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that is lost now. And yeah, I mean, CG, they've gotten really good and it can look really amazing, and you get some stuff like Spider-Verse that pushes the envelope and tries to do something new, but you see so much animation like kids TV shows, right? Like Disney Channel TV shows. Again, no offense, like I get it. Kids don't care.
Those
They just want to be
Mickey
entertained.
Mouse Funhouses
But-
look
right, but
real
right,
bad.
it's that rudimentary. It's like now animation is like, well, let's pump these out to get all these episodes, and the detail of stuff like the Fleischer stuff, which obviously was a long time ago, but it's just the same attention isn't paid to it. And
well,
it's-
and that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse,
Yeah.
like that. I mean, those are close to 20 years old.
I
at
guess
this
that's
point.
true.
Like,
but
because
they
I
still
mean, my
make 'em.
kids watch.
They still
them.
make them, and they look the exact.
Well, you're
same.
not going to change the look now.
Yeah.
But I mean, some they can change the.
I mean,
higher
Toy Story
quality
4 looks better than Toy Story
That's
1,
true.
but it
That's
still
true.
looks like.
But it looks like the characters,
style.
right? But they really do a pretty similar thing. And someone shared a video the other day that in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, the ears. Have you seen this?
No.
So the way they do it, so like when Mickey turns sideways in 2D animation, they put one ear above the other one.
Oh,
And so
sure.
it makes it look, it's just his head's turned and one's on top. Well, they do this thing in Clubhouse and those animated shows where when the character turns, they rotate the top of their head, the ears, they rotate like this in a way that makes no sense, and
Yeah.
it's so disconcerting because it's like, wait a minute, that can't. It's like it's just it's a really, look it up sometime and
Okay.
see. It's not like the whole body and the ears move together.
It's just the
they
top
just
of the head.
spin the top of the ears.
Or it's been so long. I remember the ears looked weird when my kids used to watch it.
Yeah.
It's just funny when things like that go viral, and I'm just like, oh, I noticed that like 20
Yeah.
years ago.
Right.
Just
Right.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
But I'm
Now
guessing
people do care.
it's
But
very cheap to animate if you just twist the top.
Well,
instead of,
I also wonder though if that's what they're supposed to be doing, or if it looks because it's a solid black image. Like I know on like Mystery Science Theater 3000, some people will complain about Crow and the silhouette,
Sure.
because with how he's got the bowling pin nose and the netting eyes, that like if you look at him long enough, it will start to look like, if you really focus on him, it'll look like he's looking away from the screen instead of towards the screen.
Sure.
So I wonder if maybe that's what's going on.
I mean, you literally see like the base with the ears on top and the long, skinny base. You see it rotate off the head in like a planar, like
Yeah, right.
it's not even like an optical illusion. It's like literally the ears on the base rotate like they're wearing a hat, like a Mickey Mouse hat.
Yeah.
You can see it spinning off the head and back on. It's weird.
Luckily, I think that is starting to find its way out of the rotation.
Yeah.
So I don't have to look at it anymore.
They're aging out.
Yeah.
Well, your kids listen to real spoilers, apparently.
My oldest does.
They're mature.
And my youngest has been on episodes. So,
True.
yeah.
So you know how the new Mickey, we'll get to the movie here, guys.
I mean, can you tell that we don't give a about this
you know
movie?
how they have the new Mickey Mouse shorts?
Yeah.
Right.
Which are really, I like
They're
those a lot.
hilarious.
They're good.
great.
They're good.
I like the modern stuff.
And I
do
know
too.
people hate the modern, some people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I like I obviously love the
Yeah.
old stuff, but times change, and I like the updated
and he's
humor.
evolved over the years. And here's the thing: my current theory on this, they're doubling down, and this is going to be the version of Mickey Mouse you see, like on all new stuff.
Oh.
Like even that.
You mean the current animated version?
Yeah, because like even the new ride that they created,
Yeah.
right,
Yep.
uses that.
Right,
does.
that's
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
investment.
And
to
then,
put in.
but here's why.
Okay.
And this is my theory as to why. Because Steamboat Willie just went into the public domain.
We need to put him on Real Spoilers merchandise.
Yeah,
I forgot
no
about
doubt.
that. He
Get
can
him
be-
on there.
Yep.
And so
How did that happen?
because
The
that's
law.
the law.
100
And
years?
they
Or
and they
95
well
years?
and it used to be 50. Like
Yeah.
Disney fought to get
stretched
it
it,
kicked
yeah.
back, and then it got kicked back again.
How the
Yeah.
hell is Superman not popped in the public domain?
Well, Superman's 38.
Oh.
Yeah, he's coming. His
Mickey's
time's coming.
28.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now it's just that art design of Mickey Mouse.
So we're
Every
saying
other
we're
version
saying
you
the
create.
original
the original
triangle S short cape weird circus boots. That
Right.
version of Superman goes into the public
that
domain.
in 10 years or
Okay.
Whatever
6
the
years,
thing is, yeah.
5 years,
Which
yeah.
is why they keep changing his suit. They change Superman's
Yeah.
suit all the time.
Yeah.
They're constantly changing it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily why. I think they just like to freshen
That's
it up,
also
and
true.
you can sell new toys and blah blah blah. But I think that's why they're doubling down on this new design of Mickey
True.
is because they don't have to worry about it for like 100 years.
That's
Yeah.
a good
That's
point.
so
It's
I
going to be a
think-
new design, and then
Yeah.
plus they don't want people to be interested in the old stuff because they're going to lose money. They're not going to
Right.
be making money on it. So
Right.
we got to get the new one where all your merch and stuff has to look like.
And-
You're gonna
they
find
wanna-
Steamboat Willie in a cart at Walgreens.
Yeah. And they want to pump that in front of kids now, so they're nostalgic for it when they're our age, which is why they came up with Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, right? Like,
Sure.
is that they realized that the kids they were watching Blue's Clues and stuff like that, and they weren't watching Mickey Mouse, and so they decided they were like, oh, we need to come up with a way to get the kids to watch Mickey Mouse, so they know these core characters, and so they created that. What was that one where Mickey had a nightclub? And it was like basically a frame.
it was like the
Oh, yeah,
villains
with all the
night.
villains.
The villains
And
night.
it was like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like a framing sequence so they could show
Yeah.
the classic cartoons, and
Yeah.
it was really good, and people liked it, and
Yeah.
they canceled it anyway because their data showed them that people were watching from like 10 and up, and by 10 and up it was too late, and they were like, no, we need them when they're like 3 and 4,
Yeah.
and so they canceled it even though it was a hit. Because it wasn't doing
gonna
what they
sell
wanted,
merch.
and then they were like, and then they were like, let's get a Blue's Clues type thing, and
Yeah,
they came
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is like Blue's Clues.
Oh,
Yeah.
very
You
much
think
so.
about the
You talking to the screen.
Yeah.
all
yeah,
of it.
and so they were like, let's do Mickey Mouse, and they came up with Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and then that worked.
That worked.
And then because they realized that like their whole thing is nostalgia, but if they don't get you when you're young,
There is no
in
nostalgia.
20 years you're not going to have nostalgia for it. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
That's how those problem child guys got me. So it's the nostalgia.
Ernest. That's how Ernest gets you.
That's how Ernest.
I
Yeah,
love Ernest so
like,
much.
all that.
But
yeah,
honestly,
for
that's
sure.
like back to how this tangent started. It's how Abbott and Costello got me. Like I watched Abbott and Costello because when I was a kid on Saturday afternoons, you basically had sports and old movies.
Sure.
And one we had two stations that showed old movies. One was going to show a Western or a war movie, Hard Pass, and the other was showing Abbott and Costello, Francis the
go.
Talking Mule, Ma
in.
and Pa Kettle. There you go.
There it is.
That's going to be the one.
That's interesting.
So, anyway, there's the longest shameless plugs in the history of Real Spoilers, most likely.
Look for those Steamboat Willie real
That's
spoilers.
right, yeah, right.
We should start. Oh my! I'm gonna call
Text
my
Matt,
guy.
text
I got a
Matt.
guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this movie's trash.
I thought this movie was perfectly acceptable for a throwback to a 90s
But
action
it's
movie.
not, okay.
It's a moderately effective, instantly forgettable, just this side of VOD.
Perfectly acceptable for an afternoon at the movies. And
This is not a throwback to a 90s action movie. That's what I wanted it to be.
It's a throwback to a 90s direct-to-DVD action movie.
Maybe. Because at least in that one, at least in those, there's action usually every 10 minutes, give or take. There's some sort of action beat every 10 minutes. This... let me
tell you.
I like Gerard Butler.
If I'm flying international, I want Trailblazer Airlines to be the airline I fly. If you crash, they send mercenaries after
Dang
you.
right.
I know. I was just
I was like, holy crap.
the whole time I was like, when they said the mercenaries and like this PR damage control guy
love
comes
that guy.
in.
That guy.
He needs his own spinoff.
Yeah. And because it's like
He's Mr. Walmart.
He's the Kurt Russell from the Fast movies.
Oh yeah, he's like
What's that
Mr. Wolf or whatever.
What's that Shonda Rhimes show where she's
The Cleaner?
always doing damage control?
Is that called The Cleaner?
Is it called Damage Control?
No,
I have no idea.
But yeah, it and I'm just like, you guys have a lot of faith in corporate America.
It's hilarious. So that
like I don't think
actor
it's
Tony
Tony
Goldwyn
yeah.
plays Scarsdale. I just love it. Like the airline. So the plane crashes. Gerard Butler's the pilot. They send him through a storm to save $14,000 in fuel, and so obviously end up causing millions of dollars in damage and all this. But
Plus lawsuits.
and
right.
dead people.
Dead people.
So the plane crashes because the plane's hit by lightning. All the electronics go out, and they have to land in the Philippines.
not
It's like it's
outside-
an island adjacent to the Philippines.
It's like an island cluster. Yeah.
So Scarsdale comes in as he's a consultant. Who's the CEO guy? You've seen him in The Wire.
He's one of those
Paul
big
Ben
actors.
Victor.
Yeah.
But you've seen him in everything. Paul Ben Victor. And he's sitting here at the board trying to, okay, give me all the info and all the data and whatever. And then Scarsdale comes walking as the consultant. He's like, all right, this is what we're going to do.
But
I've got my mercenaries.
The craziest thing about that, right, is the
love it.
CEO or the guy, whoever that guy is.
Doesn't matter.
But he is like, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to bring in this guy. We're going to bring in the military guys.
But the consultant takes over the
But
company.
then when the pilot's like, I'm going to fly this thing out of here, the CEO's like, don't you do it. And I was like, bro, you just
First of all-
brought in mercenaries. Like,
what other options?
the pilot using the plane, like that's the step too far for you.
But I love it. This is the dumb action beats that I could not get enough of. That's what made this movie so fun, where I'm just like, oh man, they brought in mercenaries and they're going to war with the forces on the ground. Like
they bring
when
in
they're having this shootout with all these people, I'm just cracking up. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Like, this is a plane that crashed.
so that part I dig, right?
Yeah,
like
it was-
when you bring in 4 mercenaries
Right.
and they're taking out
Hilarious.
an entire army.
So I'm like,
for it.
that is the PR Southwest needs right now, right? Trailblazer Airlines will do anything. Oh, you lost your luggage? We're sending
Don't worry
in the
about
Mercs.
it. Yeah. We've got wet work guys that are going to come in. And
Seriously, I'm like, these guys will do anything for their customers.
Yeah, right. So look, I love bad 80s and 90s action movies. They're my bread and butter. They're fantastic. I was hoping that this was going to be some sort of Gerard Butler has kind of found this niche in these bad action movies that are fun, right? The Olympus, the Fallen movies.
I've never seen any of those.
I haven't either.
Olympus Has Fallen is great.
I only watched Channing Tatum, Jamie Foxx action movies.
And that's the bad one.
No, I've never seen those either.
But Olympus Has Fallen, The Angel Has Fallen, and something else. But they are the first one and the last
Rome
one
Has Fallen.
are a lot of fun. Is it really Rome?
No,
I don't know. They're in Paris, I think, for sure. But they're big and they're
Jimmy has fallen.
Yep.
Big Ben has fallen. I don't know.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Fallon.
Yeah. There's another shirt. But they're just big and they're straight up action movies, right?
Right.
You don't. It's one guy who has a stupid amount of skills that he probably would never have, and he uses them to his advantage.
All the
right?
important people are wrong.
Of course.
And he's the only one
He's
who
set up-
has the right answer.
He's set up for an
Which-
attack, and now he has to fight his way
which
back
is
from the
why
bottom.
people vote the way they do.
Don't say it.
So Gerard Butler, we find out his character is former Royal Air Force, so he has the military.
But he doesn't.
What?
That's the thing, is like they say that, and I do like that it's kind of a throwaway line where but he never does anything.
Yes, he does.
He chokes out one guy.
So
Well,
that
he's shooting-
fight Best scene in the movie.
Oh, you think so?
I do. I love
With like the Jason Bourne, like the Rocky.
Oh, I hated the Paul Greengrass cam, but
I mean, if it was a one take though.
it
like,
was one take. What I loved about it is that it wasn't this choreographed like.
It was
like,
dirty and messy.
It wasn't. It wasn't like a John Wick style.
Correct.
Like, it was like two guys both trying to not die.
I completely respect that. They're out of breath.
Yeah,
One guy gets on him and is punching Gerard Butler. He's taking hits. It was like a real struggle if you'd been hit in the head and thrown off your guard.
Sure. Yeah. I'm like, this is what this fight would actually look like.
Which is
like-
where I thought we were going.
And he stops and he's like, he has to catch his breath. I'm like, it was a very realistic. And I agree.
It's one of the. We kind of joke about the aging action hero, and you never really see that, even though that Liam Neeson.
Congratulations on your 100th movie coming out.
Is that right? Oh, dang.
His 100th movie's coming
Good
out.
for him. But you never really see him like
You don't see him
gassed.
jump a fence.
That's also true. But you never see him like gassed after a fight, right? Where Gerard Butler, you're absolutely right. I think this was a very good fight scene. I was hoping that we would get more of it, but maybe Gerard Butler's like, "Hey, man, you get one.
Right.
I'm not doing this
for this
again.
kind of money for a $20 million movie.
Yeah, you get
Only half of it went to me. You get one of these.
Like, they were smart with the way that a lot of this movie takes place on a plane, so that's cheap to film, right? Because
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure it's a plane. I'm sure it's just like a tube.
Oh, it's a set.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that last
Yeah.
the ending
And it's a
sequence
set
of
we've
this.
probably seen in a million different
Yeah, right,
rom-coms when they're flying somewhere. It's just
some random
It's
plane.
like it's
just
a
sort of
film
laying
a
around.
third of it on the plane set, which saves
They must
a lot
have had a
of money.
real plane though for the exteriors.
Yeah.
Because they showed it to us a lot.
They did.
They loved showing you that plane.
They did.
Which I really thought that the more of the movie would be on a plane since it's called
Plane.
See, I was a little worried that most of it I didn't know what this movie
I
was
didn't know
about.
anything about this movie
Nothing.
either, other than planes.
So I thought the whole movie was going to take place on a plane, like
so
a stage play,
when we're 20 minutes in and they're crash landing this plane, I'm like, well, what are they going to do now? You just told us it only has 5 minutes of battery power left. I'm like, the movie's called Plane.
But
it should have been called, there's a plane over there, and we're going to go do some other stuff.
We're gonna crash this. We've got an hour left.
But,
Yeah.
it all revolved around the plane, and I actually really liked the idea of a plane. I mean, like the show Lost, it's like, okay, if you all
You could not think about Lost.
it's
watching this.
impossible to not think about Lost. But if a plane crashes on an island, what do you do? What's the dynamic between the
You kill and eat a polar bear.
Ta-da!
the pilots, the passengers? Are there any locals? In this case, there were, and
Are there any others? Is
are
there
there the others? A smoke monster?
Smoke monster.
Is there a magical puddle? Are
I
you
tell you-
really in purgatory?
I know you're saying words right now. I've never seen an episode of that show.
It does not stick the landing, but it's a hell of a ride.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I said it before a couple of years ago. I did a rewatch. Katie had never seen it either. And when you watch it straight through, it lands a lot better. The problem is that we spent 10 years of our lives
Dissecting
theorizing, dissecting everything. So when you get to the ending, it's really hard to please everyone.
Were there any like long breaks in between, or did it just go season like?
It was a
normal-
writer's
normal-
strike.
there
or
was a
something
writer's
that
strike
did
in
a break.
there, yeah.
But it was like 10 years, almost a season a year, whatever it ended up being.
Was it 10 seasons?
No, okay, maybe it was like 8, but it was
Yeah.
better part of a decade.
Lindelof wrote it was a Ultimate Wolverine versus Ultimate Hulk comic, and he wrote the first 3 issues, and then the other 4 or 2, whatever, never came out.
Oh.
And then it was years. So long, in fact, that Marvel was like, we're just going to re-release the first 3 now, and then he'll
I
have
think
the
Jim
other
Lee
ones
was
done.
doing the art on it.
It was Lionel Francis Yu, but
I didn't realize he was related to George R.R. Martin.
yeah, I know.
But the point is, if you watch Lost straight through and you're not spending a decade theorizing, and then they have to come up with an ending that's supposed to please you with all
Yeah.
your theories, it lands better. But it's a really, really good show.
So speaking of Lost in airplanes, the name of the airline in this is Trailblazer. Do you think Trailblazer is the new fake airline?
Have you seen it before?
And I don't know that I've seen it before, but I don't know that I haven't seen it before. And
I had
so
never
like
heard of it.
So like they have but had you ever heard of Oceanic before Lost?
No.
Okay, but it was used all the time.
Okay.
So they have these companies.
Yeah.
They have like fake names for companies that people can use. They've already been cleared.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so
I see.
and so
like you can't sue someone. It's so generic that if you use it, you're not
right,
gonna
because
be-
it's like if you want to make a movie about a plane crash, right? Like
Southwest isn't
can't
going
have
to
it
Southwest isn't going to tell you that that's okay. American
Northeast.
Airlines isn't going to.
Northeast.
Right. So in order to avoid any issues with clearance on that, there's like fake rental car companies, things like that, right? And then all the studios just kind of share those names,
Right.
And so that's why there was a theory for a while that Heroes and Lost took place in the same world.
These generic.
Because they used Oceanic Airlines, and then people were like, well, that's the same. But Oceanic became such a major plot point.
Yeah.
Like, they're not designed to be plot points, right? But Oceanic became such a plot point, and Lost was such a juggernaut that everybody remembered the name of it.
I got you.
And then I'm like, did they have to back off? Like, if you used Oceanic now, people would instantly be like, Lost. You know, it's the same thing that, like, if you see a character reading a newspaper, you can almost always find that newspaper in another movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a shot of, like, what's the guy who played Al Bundy? I'm blanking on his name.
Ed O'Neill?
Thank you.
Ed O'Neill. There's a picture of Ed O'Neill on Modern Family reading the newspaper, and there's a picture of him as Al Bundy
reading the same newspaper.
Give me
newspaper.
that. Give me
Hilarious.
that where Al Bundy
like-
upgraded to Sofia Vergara.
Al Bundy's just like, you need a newspaper? I've got this one from my in my closet sitting there from.
But they don't have to worry about photo clearance and
Right,
copyrights or anything
That's
like that.
interesting. I had never heard of this one
Yeah.
before, but it was such a, like, when you think of what a trailblazer is, like what that means.
Sure.
I'm like, I've never heard of an airline called that, but I don't know. Maybe there are.
Well, I mean, even it's just a simple.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we've maybe seen Trailblazers in other, if that's what they've replaced Oceanic with.
They're constantly going down.
Yeah.
Like, stop taking Trailblazer. Like, they crash all the time.
But there's no government where they land. And it's just,
basically they say that, like, this militia has taken over this little part, and even like the Philippine government is like, nah, we're not messing with it. Like, no, thank you. So they realize that they can't get out. Nobody's phones are working. The radios aren't working. So Gerard Butler decides. Well, we should also say,
Mike Colter.
I thought this was going to be like Con Air.
I liked the misdirect they do, so there's a couple of things they set up with this. So Mike Colter plays an inmate who's being transported by a
U.S. Marshal
or whatnot, and then you have a couple of passengers that are like looking a little suspicious.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a prison break. I thought it was them trying to save him, because they look at the passengers and really they end up just being passengers. But you look at Mike Colter, you look at them, and you're like, oh geez, this is going to be a Con Air type situation.
Which, great.
And I like how when they crash land and everyone's looking at the convict and they're like, oh, I don't know if we can trust him and whatever. And Gerard Butler ends up giving him a shot and being like, hey, come help me.
He John Cusacks it.
Yeah.
Where he's like, we got Cameron Poe on that plane. He's an Army Ranger. He's just trying to get home.
And I like it that they took it the direction of, oh, this guy's going to end up helping them because he's the guy with skills and knows how to do this stuff, as opposed to it's this criminal that now is going to be trying to escape. And are you going to be fighting him or the other guys or whatever?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's both of our main characters are given like a backstory of former military, where Gerard Butler he does choke that guy out. I'll give you that. But I don't like but Mike Colter is like, he looks like Carl Weathers, because he's ripped to shreds. He's a massive human being. He's got like 2 AR-15s like strapped to his back, like,
yeah, he's awesome.
And he's just taking people out left and right.
I thought he was great in this movie too.
I
really liked
Mike
him.
Colter, I think, is one of those guys that he is very good. Like, I liked him in Luke Cage. I liked that first season of Luke Cage.
I didn't watch all of it, but I liked what I saw.
Yeah, it's I think he has hopefully a promising future. I think he's on a TV show called like Evil.
Okay.
I think, where he's like a detective that has to.
Sounds familiar.
The plane goes down. Gerard Butler's like, I'm gonna go. I saw a warehouse before we crashed, I guess. And he makes his way to the warehouse. He brings Mike Colter with him. And then all of a sudden, Mike Colter disappears. And he, being Gerard Butler, ends up finding this warehouse. So he finds his phone. He ends up this is actually another one of this whole scene in general, I think, is really good, where he calls
the and like the lady's
operator's
like,
like,
we've been getting pranks all day.
what's your member, or what's your
badge
your
number?
employee number? And he was like, I don't know.
It is so frustrating when they do the good person dirty like that, to where you're just like, we know he's the guy. It's like, but that's so what would happen is you'd be getting prank calls and people would be getting sick of it.
Oh yeah.
But
then he calls his daughter. She gets the information and relays that to Trailblazer Airlines. I do also like that when Tony Goodwin talks to the guy who made Gerard Butler like not go around the storm.
Oh, not Dabney Coleman?
Yes, thank you. And I was just like, man, it's kind of fun to see him be Tony Goodwin being like, what were you thinking?
What are you, a weatherman?
What are you, a weatherman?
And I like how he calls him, all right, Mr. Weatherman,
Yeah, and the
time
guy's
for you to
like,
redeem yourself. I liked the Tony Goodwin character.
Tony Goodwin is a good actor. I like him a lot.
When they brought that character in as like their damage control guy, I was like, oh, he's going to be the worst. Like, normally those people are so cutthroat.
Sure.
But he wasn't.
He was awesome.
He was actually trying to
get him
help,
out of
and
there.
I was just like, oh, that's so fake.
Right. They think they make contact. Now we've got this other
When he calls his daughter.
right, and gives her the information, and
Yeah.
she gets it taken down, and then they finally get that to Trailblazer. Trailblazer, like we talked about, like sends in literally 5 guys. The people who run this little village realize that they can take everybody hostage and use them for I don't know what.
I assume they're going to raffle him off.
I guess.
Yeah, they
I
got a
don't
thing
know.
going. You could see, they stumble upon the
These
camera.
missionaries who are obviously dead.
Yeah, well, you see the blood stains
right,
on
and the blood.
So this is their
trails.
thing: is they find people that they can send ransom demands to, and they're going to do this now. They have a whole plane full of people that may be
from across the
important,
world,
and,
right? You
yeah,
got guys
all
from
over
England and Hong Kong, and the
Exactly.
United States, and everywhere. Sweden, which I was just like, what? Okay, just make them both from the United States, but whatever.
It's kind of an international movie. There's a lot of
Very
different-
much so. Yeah.
I wouldn't think Sweden's a market you're super concerned about,
so.
though.
No, I
Hong
think
Kong, I get.
Right.
Sweden, perhaps not
maybe
so much.
not so much.
Yeah.
So this entire time, what I was hoping this movie would do is just lean into the R rating, and they don't.
Yeah,
for
it
the
is
most
weird
part.
because there are some pretty decent kills at the end. It
Yeah.
was like it's like they got to the end and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're an R-rated movie."
Oh my
We're an
gosh!
R-rated
When
action movie.
when they're
What are we
sniping
thinking?
with that 50
That's
caliber
great.
sniper rifle
That's
and
great.
through the car, I'm telling you, those mercenaries, as hilarious as it was that the airline sent them and that they exist in this movie, but the fact that they were willing to do anything to save
Don't
these
care.
passengers and went to war against them and were blowing people through walls.
It was
50
fantastic.
calibers. I mean, I was having so much fun
When
with
that guy gets hit with like an engine block.
Oh,
like,
at the very end of the movie when he runs him over.
It was
I'm like,
great.
this is the kind of thing that it's dumb and it's totally silly. And like you said, Tom, forgettable. I'm not going to think to pop in plane
No.
and watch it again. But
Yeah, I was forgetting this movie while I was watching it.
but I had a good time. I enjoyed this more than Megan.
Oh, man.
I had more fun
no
with this.
way.
than
I
Megan.
wouldn't say that.
No.
I thought Megan was a snooze and a
I
half
thought
till
this
that
was a
last
snooze.
scene.
See, I thought
And-
this was a snooze until the last scene. But the entire time we know that Mike Colter.
This is about the time where I'm like, wonder how that plane's doing.
Oh, can we get back to that
I
plane?
mean, it's called Plane.
wonder how it's.
I mean, you can't really.
Sure, haven't seen the plane in a while,
You can't really. It's hard to film an entire movie on a plane.
but they don't call it Plane.
I think executive.
But it-
I think executive decision would disagree
It's-
with you. I think Snakes on a Plane would disagree
Right.
with you.
But it's just it's hard. But yeah, but like Snakes in the Plane had this crazy double decker plane,
That's
so
true.
they could move
Yeah, yeah,
around
yeah.
and
Right.
interesting parts of it or whatever. But I just think it's really difficult to hold the whole thing there unless it's a drama where it's really character driven, because then you don't need the space.
Right.
But an action movie, how much we're running up this aisle, we're running back up this. What are you gonna do? Here, let me throw the drink cart at you. Like, what are you gonna do in a plane? The
Listen,
whole
nobody
time?
talks to Billy Idol that way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna strangle you with the oxygen
Yeah.
cord.
I mean, after a while, you're gonna run through those things.
Yeah,
It's
you're gonna
like-
run out of.
and then you're just gonna look around and be like, "Oh yeah, we're still on this plane."
oh yeah, I forgot about it.
We need to get back to movies like Airport.
I agree with you. Like, just do like a big set piece.
We did for a minute,
Towering Inferno.
except they
Like
were
those-
romantic comedies. Remember when Garrett
Oh.
Marshall was making all those movies with like a million famous people, but they
Yes.
were all in it for 4 minutes?
Yes.
That's kind of what
Oh.
like
that's
Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
The
but-
holiday movie.
Valentine's
New
Day, New
Year's.
Year's
Happy-
Eve.
yeah, New Year's.
And like that's kind of what Airport was, right? Like it was like Fred Astaire,
I see.
Yeah, well,
and
you-
Dean Martin,
like the Poseidon Adventure,
George Kennedy,
or the Towering Inferno, or
Yeah.
things like that, where it's like you just,
Earthquake.
you think, Earthquake, Avalanche.
This is the end.
This is the end. But I mean, even like that one, I remember. Isn't there? There's one where they kill like Steve McQueen in like 10 minutes, and you're like, whoa, like what?
I'm trying to remember. He's in Towering Inferno, but I don't remember.
Maybe he doesn't die. They kill somebody
'Cause
really
he's the
early.
architect, right?
It's been so long since I've seen. Maybe.
Or is Paul Newman the architect?
But the fact that Steve McQueen and Paul Newman are in a movie together,
Yeah.
also sign me up. Like, there's too much cool in that movie. Unfortunately, it was called Towering Inferno.
Yeah.
Defeated the purpose.
You also get Bobby Brady.
Well, can't all be winners.
It's just weird to think that Mike Lookinland and Paul Newman were in a movie together.
There are moments that just happened recently where somebody was in a movie with someone else, and I was like, how does that happen? Like, just the generational gap.
Yeah.
Where I was like, God, that's crazy that they were in the same movie.
I mean, think about it. Ron Howard was in a movie with John Wayne,
That's a good one.
and that feels like that should be a million years
Yeah,
ago.
right,
But
right.
like they were in a movie together.
No, it's not a million years ago. Yeah. So they basically what the rundown. That's a fantastic movie. That's
pretty good.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Is the mercenaries show up? They realize that the people have been taken hostage, but the good guys have already captured them. Like, they're already bringing them back.
Yeah, the mercenaries are already on the ground. They parachuted in once they pinpointed their location. The co-pilot had been able to fix the electronics before they got kidnapped.
He got the transponder.
Kevin, I
turned
think we
back
all
on.
know God is the co-pilot.
Oh, yes. The third
This
wheel.
isn't a Kirk Cameron movie.
So they were able to pinpoint. The mercenaries said, we're going to circle. We know they're in this group of islands, so we're going to drop in as soon as we get the signal. They get it. They're able to rescue the guys, and they show up, guns a-blazing.
Yeah, well,
and
and
they
then-
go to war against them.
But Mike Coulter and Gerard Butler are just tearing through this village.
Yeah.
Which is, I was like, yeah, let's do, like,
See?
tear through this
But
village.
Gerard Butler's is able to...
I
Well,
think
it's good because you're on this island that apparently has no one on it except
None.
warlords
Kill 'em,
who are
yeah.
lording over no
Also,
one but themselves.
I will also say, we did have this complaint in Rambo where they're just like, yeah, everybody on the island's bad. Everybody that is...
I think
That's because they're in this like gray area of Criminalville. You
That's
know what I
true,
mean? Like
but-
they say the government doesn't go here. They've taken over. Like this is their place.
I guess that's true. And in Rambo, it was just...
they're just Mexico.
Every Mexican
But-
person we met, like, bad guy,
I think it
bad
also
guy,
helps
bad
that
guy.
we're not in a place that's clearly defined.
That's true. It is nondescript.
That's why they're like nondescript islands off the coast of the Philippines.
Like in Top Gun, where they're like, where are they going? Not Russia. I'll tell you that.
And also in Rambo versus in this movie, you have a rainbow of colors
That's fair.
that are slaughtering people. Where in Rambo, you had one 65-year-old white guy
Yeah.
slaughtering Mexicans.
65-year-old Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
Right.
Slaughtering Mexicans.
yeah, that's
right. If
fair.
it were just Gerard Butler going on a killing spree.
Right.
That'd be pretty bad.
But no, this is a very international movie, very diverse cast.
Yes.
So you have all sorts of different
Yeah.
people in it.
So they just start killing people. Like, there's good scenes where I like the scene where Gerard Butler doesn't really have the right set of skills, but Mike Coulter does, and them as a team.
So Mike Colter has been on the run. He was accused of murder. You get in his backstory that he probably didn't do it, but he was an 18-year-old black kid that they threw away the key and he was locked up. And then when he went on the run, he was able to escape. He went and joined the French Legion.
French Foreign
Okay,
Legion,
so
which
which is-
going back to our original tangent, was also an Abbott and Costello movie. Abbott
really?
and Costello joined the French Foreign Legion.
But that's also a plot point in a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
that's a plot point in a million.
That's-
I know, that's true. That's
Because
true.
the French, I mean, I think Laurel and Hardy also joined the French Foreign Legion. Like it's the French Foreign Legion is always kind of famous for, and I don't even know if it's true, but in movies it's true
Taking anybody that'll...
that they don't ask any questions.
And that's what he says. Mike
Anybody
Coulter says,
can
he's
join
like,
it,
as long as
no
you can do
questions
it,
asked.
like, they took you. But there's a... Man, I wish I could remember the name of that movie. Maybe Nowhere to Run.
Jean-Claude Van joins the French Foreign Legion.
That's exactly what it is. But they end up like, of course, his brother gets in trouble, so they're like, you got to go find him, and he
that's-
shows back up to save his brother.
the sequel. Jean-Claude Van Damme's brother joins the French Foreign
exactly
Legion.
it. Yeah.
I'm still
right.
salty that Amazon show got canceled.
The JCVD show.
It was so good, where he was playing himself, but then also he was a secret agent.
Yeah.
There's so much promise there. I wish people watched it because that was
one of my
hilarious.
Sounds
favorites.
like the Chuck Barris story.
I thought you were gonna say Chuck.
What is
Berry.
that?
Chuck Barris, the original the only host, I guess, of the Gong Show.
The Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Was he really a spy?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Oh.
But he said he was, and was
Yeah, right.
and was committed to it. Would never say otherwise.
Really?
And but said he was a CIA agent, and that hosting the Gong Show was his cover. And there's a great movie directed by George Clooney, right?
Confessions of a Dangerous
Confessions of a Danger,
Oh.
which is
Sam
based
Rockwell.
on
It's
his.
supposed to be him?
It's based on his autobiography.
I think Sam Rockwell plays him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I did not realize that.
a very young. Oh man, Michael Cera.
Oh,
Michael
you're
Cera's
right.
in it
Michael Cera
as
is
a
in that.
child.
Yeah.
He plays Chuck Barris as a child.
Okay.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's really good.
There's
That's a good
also a
flick.
voice on Roly Poly Oly.
Who is?
Michael Cera.
Oh,
that's
really?
He played Roly Poly Oly's
that's weird.
little brother, I think. But
Okay.
but Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, I mean, like, there's no way this story is true,
Right.
but it's a blast.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go down the YouTube rabbit hole on this guy then, because, I mean, I know the Gong Show. I never heard about that thing. So
Yeah.
that's, was he crazy? Like, did he end up going crazy? Like,
I don't know.
in his
Crazy,
later
but-
years?
I mean,
or-
I don't know. He lived to be like 80, 82 or
I
something.
mean, like, was this an Andy Kaufman thing, or was
I don't
he...
know. I mean, that's all I can assume, because I mean, there's no way this guy was really in the CIA. But like, he wrote this book and like would never veer from that
That's
story.
what I'm trying to figure out. Like, was it like the going...
and he's so weird. Like, it's one of those things where like, if it is true, no one will ever believe him anyway.
Sure.
You know,
That's the whole point.
But he was definitely different.
Hide in plain sight.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Gong Show movie. There was actually a Gong Show movie.
Oh, was there?
Yeah. It was the first rated R movie I ever saw.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you sneak in or get...
It was on cable when
On
cable
cable.
was new. We were in a hotel room in Texas.
Back
and we
Basic
watched,
Instinct.
We watched that and then Airplane. My sister and I
Oh,
watched
man.
Airplane.
Nice.
And like, oh my God, I don't know that I've ever to this day laughed as hard at a movie as I did watching Airplane.
That initial watch.
when I was 11 years old.
It is.
Oh my God.
That
We
mov-
missed when they did the hits the fan gag. I think we missed the last 10 minutes of the movie.
It's such a perfect gag.
We were laughing so hard.
That movie is built for 10, 11, 12-year-old people.
Just
It's
beautiful.
perfect.
Just beautiful.
And now we have History of the World Part 2. That's
Yeah.
coming.
I can't wait.
I gotta say the trailer didn't look awful.
It didn't look awful.
It did.
I'm
Like,
so-
I mean, I'm bummed that like some of those actors couldn't be in it because
Sure.
they're all dead.
Right.
But
What is Mel Brooks, 93, 96?
I think he's like
in his-
96,
He's in his
'cause-
mid-90s.
because Carl Reiner was, I think, 98
Yeah.
when he died.
So, like...
Oh, was he really?
I think something like that.
The fact that we're getting new Mel Brooks, I don't care. I didn't watch the trailers yet or anything, but... I mean, I'm so excited that in his 90s.
He's got
we're
one
getting
more.
a
I mean,
new-
hopefully he's just one more in him. You know what I mean? Like, and he was never, to
Carl
me at
Reiner
least.
was 98.
That's
98.
okay. That's,
oh my
that's
gosh,
crazy.
yeah. So I think Mel Brooks is 96 then.
He was never like
It's 2000.
Yeah, right? So he's got quite a bit to go.
Yeah, he's all kinds.
Mel
of time.
Brooks is 96.
Keep it going, buddy.
Hey, I called that.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Well done. Yeah. So
Because
here's
I follow every time he has a birthday. I'm like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
And he still seems-
everywhere on Twitter, Mel Brooks twinning. Mel Brooks, happy birthday. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh my
Oh,
God, you
thank
have
God.
to put some kind of
he does still
disclaimer.
seem like he's with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yes,
sharp.
he is
So did
very.
Carl, and I think it's because of Carl Reiner. They were best friends. They would have like go over to each other's house every day.
Yeah.
And I think
I'm so happy
I think
that
having someone he could engage with intellectually
Yeah.
every
Kept it
day
going.
has kept him going.
But
a
I
good
was
point.
so worried that, like, when
He
the
wouldn't be
spouse
far
passes,
behind.
when you're
For
the
sure.
older people and their spouse passes away and they're a few days behind, I'm like,
well,
those
you know
two
he
were
wasn't married to Carl Reiner, though, right?
But I bet you he spent more time than he did with his other family members. I mean,
well,
it's-
his wife has been dead for years.
Yeah.
Anne
Ask,
Bancroft.
ask Max.
Right.
Anne Bancroft was his wife.
I think so.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Well, now you got me questioning myself, but
I believe so. Yeah,
I didn't realize
But
that.
I mean, I bet you he saw Carl Reiner more than he saw
yeah,
Max.
and
I
Bancroft.
was like, is Max Anne Bancroft's son?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he would
She
have
must be.
Yeah.
because they were married for like 50 years or something. So I
Talk about
a lot of people don't know his son wrote World War Z,
World
right?
War Z.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's written a lot of like kids like Minecraft books, and Max Brooks
Oh,
has
yeah.
written a lot of
And he wrote
books.
another book similar to World War Z that's about Bigfoot.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
check
he
that.
wrote
I
a
do
new
like
one
some
a
Bigfoot stuff.
couple years ago.
think
but
that's the Bigfoot
Is it the new one? Okay.
So here's the deal: is the mercenaries show up and they
It's
kill
awesome.
they kill everybody, which is what you
The
want.
bad guys.
Yeah,
I mean-
yeah.
But again, I'm thinking to myself in the theater, you know, me and the three other people that are in there, you know,
I gotta tell you though, real quick, sold out theater.
good for it.
Not really.
Why?
Like, I mean, it's fine that it was sold out, but also I had garbage ass seats because I was like, it's plain. I don't need to buy these tickets at 9 o'clock in the
That's your
morning.
mistake.
I
You
screwed
always
it up.
buy 'em early.
I screwed it up.
But you know, we're having a good time. All of us are, you know. But I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I just had to think of this plot, and I go, this is the dumb action movie that I can check my brain at. The airline sent mercenaries to get their passengers back. They are shooting 50 caliber sniper rifles
Yep.
through cars,
Yep.
through people, sending them 20 feet in the distance. I'm like, this is fun. This is what I'm here for. It's ridiculous. It's cheesy, but like it was well made enough to where it wasn't like cheesy bad to me. It was just like fun, silly action.
I thought it was
movie.
so boring until that last 10 minutes.
Yeah. But
here's the thing is you don't need to have, in my opinion, these emotional beats, right? Like you can give me the story that Gerard Butler's wife is gone and his daughter is in California while he's flying around in Singapore. I don't need anything else besides like that.
I get it, but I would bet that almost every action movie you like has some sort of, I mean, that's how you get invested in the characters.
Okay, so I'm going to refer to Con Air, right?
Yeah.
So in Con Air, the whole premise of that movie is Cameron Poe is trying to get back to he got out of jail, shouldn't have been there in the first place.
See the wind blow through his hair.
Oh, that sweet mullet.
Yeah.
But like you don't reference his family does not get referenced almost at all. It's just him beating up convicts.
But like, if you're not gonna have any sort of emotional beats in a movie like this,
why does it matter?
Then it needs to be
straight up action,
top notch, next level action. Right?
I don't disagree.
I don't feel I guess that's not fair. I was like Mission Impossible. I guess they try to have like romance, but like nobody
Rebecca
cares.
Ferguson.
Yeah,
how you doing?
Nobody cares. Nobody goes to Mission Impossible for that. That's like when porn tries to have a story.
It's like when Playboy tries to have the article.
It's like that's just fast forward.
They at least have,
and it's like it's the worst because you're trying to fast forward with your non-dominant.
Correct.
hand.
You're just like, come on. Oh, stopped at the worst part.
They just need to invent nothing but the clips or something.
They do. It's called RedTube.
Yeah, it's called Pornhub.
That's true. Oh, what is it called? I've never heard.
Yeah,
X-Hamster. Yeah, so they
X-Hamster's good because it's all the amateur stuff.
That's exactly.
I like amateur porn's where
I prefer it.
Yeah, because one, it's like college basketball, right? Are they as good as the professionals?
Nah.
No, but they're doing it for the love of the sport.
Oh my God.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is a great way to describe
Before they
amateur
go
porn.
pro and get jaded.
Right. They're just there because they want to be.
For the love of the game.
Oh
The other thing that's great about it is like you see people that look like you.
That's true.
Representation
Yeah, right.
in film is
Yeah.
important.
It's very important.
Yeah, like I'm like
I could do that.
yeah, I could probably get her to have sex with me. Like that's probably achievable
On film?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not on film. Need to be a wide angle lens.
She would not want to admit that
and
this is
and not because I'm fat.
Hey now.
But yeah, this is
70 millimeter.
cinema
IMAX.
scope.
IMAX.
Oh wow.
They win.
Yes.
That's
Was there ever any doubt?
Of course not. I was hoping
I was
we'd
like,
lose,
are they killing Gerard Butler off?
I was hoping we would lose more hostages or something, but just something.
But to be fair, they
do kill
did.
two of them.
I
guess they kill two of them.
The leader chops his head off with a machete, shoots down the.
But he doesn't.
What?
Like that's the weird part. You see, because when they're dragging, okay, maybe it's just a movie mistake, but when they're dragging that guy away, you can
They
see
let
his,
him. They
you can
told
see
him
his
hang your head as low as you can. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be.
So
chopped
I'm sure you're
off.
right. I'm sure. Right. Actually, the other scene that I did like is Mike Colter and Gerard Butler have captured like two of the mercenary, or not the mercenaries, but like the bad
Oh,
guys.
two go in, one comes out.
That scene was great.
And we're not talking about X-Hamster.
Not
This is a
X-Hamster,
different
yeah.
thing.
That Mike Colter has the one that they leave as the survivor drag the other guy into the woods. Gerard Butler's messing around with the plane, and then he hears a shot, and he looks quickly, and here just comes Mike Colter with
And they
two
just
extra
look.
with two extra guns, with nobody behind him, and it was like, all right, that's kind of cool. But I did not. I thought this movie was bad. I didn't like it, except for the last 10 minutes,
Okay.
and that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Fair. I can't give you too much criticism. It sounds exactly like my review of the last movie. So I get
did a
it.
little
When
flip-flop.
you don't
I mean,
care about it until the big action set piece.
I credit this movie for knowing exactly what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
and then doing that moderately
doing exactly
well.
what it set out to do.
Yeah.
This movie, I had no expectations, didn't know what it was about, but I'm like, okay, I know it's supposed to be a dumb action movie. I go in, I'm like, I'm having an entertaining time. I thought that the cleaner guy, the character,
Tony Goodwin,
yeah, whatever his, it starts with an S. I can't remember what the character name is, but the fact
Scooter
Smith.
There you go. He comes in there. He tells the CEO exactly what they're gonna do. He doesn't care what anyone else is doing. He's like, we're sending these mercenaries. This guy is gonna fly the plane out.
and then they say, "Don't fly it out."
yeah. And this guy's like, they're gonna fly it out.
Yeah,
And I had fun with it.
I did not.
No.
And I was in the middle.
There it is. Which is honestly,
when I didn't love this
happens a
movie, I
lot.
think we're almost on the same page. I did not love the movie.
Yeah.
It did what I think it set out to do, and I was entertained. Would I watch it again? I'll never.
I think if you saw the trailer for this movie, and I say this without having seen the trailer for this movie, but I think if you saw the trailer for this movie and you were like, I think I would enjoy that, you will enjoy this.
Fair. That's fair.
I think
it sets out to do something and it accomplishes it.
Yes, it does accomplish it.
And you were talking while I was peeing about the theater experience. I saw the theater I was in was practically sold out. I saw it on a Wednesday.
Oh, dang.
There was only one showing of it in St. Louis.
How'd you get to go on a Wednesday?
I don't know.
They did like an early.
So I had tickets to see a show on Thursday, so I couldn't go to the Thursday. They didn't do a press screening in St. Louis, although they did in some markets, but not here.
Yeah.
And so I was
Ryan Altieri saw it.
Yeah, so I was like, when am I going to see this? So I was like, let me go and see if there's any like morning screenings, which you almost never get anymore. And then it was like there was one screening about 30 minutes from my house, and it was at an AMC, and it was labeled as an investor screening.
Oh,
that's for the so AMC does a deal, and usually they're like 2 weeks in advance, but they will a couple weeks before a movie comes out give anyone that's on there. You're supposed to be on like if you're an investor in AMC, if you own one share of stock, they'll give you little perks. Like they'll throw you in your rewards account a free soda, free popcorn or whatever, and then you get to go to the early screenings. I guess they don't really double check it. Like, do you have any AMC stock?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I
guess they don't.
I could just go in and buy a ticket.
Right. So I don't think they really double check it, but you're supposed to be. And like I bought stock when, like GameStop and AMC, when they were all
So
people.
do maybe investors get free tickets, but it's also open to the public?
You have to buy them, but it's just you get early access. But I guess they don't really check it that much. So, but that's what that is the perks for, and they would do it for like kids movies. I'm trying to remember the one. It doesn't really matter, but there was a kids movie and it was coming out in a couple weeks. And so that's where I first noticed it, that they will drop those. But what a weird thing, a Wednesday, like a day before.
And I think they were doing House Party the same night.
Okay.
What a weird movie to remake.
They've tried,
I guess that's true.
I mean, they made 2 sequels
with Kid and Play.
Yeah. And then they've tried to reboot this franchise before. There are
really?
House Party movies without Kid and Play.
Or a direct-to-video, though? I don't think they were theatrical.
I don't remember.
It wasn't a TV show, was it?
No.
TV movie?
Well, it was Kid and Play were supposed to have a TV show.
Hey.
And it was going to be called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Let's drop
Maybe
that
that's
ball.
what I was thinking.
And they were like, we're
Can you
we're movie
imagine?
stars. We're not going to do TV.
Oh, my gosh.
And so then they were like, okay, can we find any other rap duos that don't scare white people?
Did you hear that Eddie Murphy speech or whatever?
I know he gave. I know
announcing during Golden Globes or whatever.
No,
he's like, "There's 3. I can't even do it. Go watch the video." But he's like, "There's 3 things you learn in Hollywood to be successful: pay your taxes." Got a big laugh because a lot of people get in trouble.
Wesley Snipes.
Number 2, and keep Will Smith's wife name out your mouth. And it was hilarious. And they censored it. I think he cursed during it or whatever.
Sure.
But in Canada, they didn't censor it, so you can hear the clip going around from the Canadian broadcast. But it's pretty funny for Eddie Murphy to comment on it. Oh man.
Anyway,
there it is.
There's plane. At least you get the plane there at the end.
You do,
and then it ends on
a part of a plane.
on a loving shot of that plane.
That was the most ridiculous scene of Gerard Butler sitting on the steps of that plane, and I was like, okay, we'll fade to black with here. No, we're gonna pan up and look at this giant ass CG plane.
I'm like, we got a plane. We're showing people a plane.
Like Star Trek 1.
That one didn't look CG though. Maybe it was, but the big shot of it looked like a real plane.
I thought it looked CG.
Oh. I mean, the landing certainly was CG. Yeah. I mean, there's no question there. But
anyway, there you go. I guess
go watch Law Abiding Citizen.
I love Law Abiding Citizen.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
You know what?
I've never seen it.
I think the good 2-parter with that one. I know they're different people, but Law Abiding Citizen and Inside Man. Something about those movies.
I could see that.
I just like the
Inside Man's so good.
Yeah, that's Spike Lee.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, something about those 2 movies, and maybe they were released at similar times.
Denzel Washington and Clive Owen.
It is, and there's just like this action element to them. And,
for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, watch those. Sure.
Yeah, that was much better.
At 300. Kicks guy into a ravine.
Yeah, in the ravine.
And you can, instead of a CGI plane, you get CGI abs.
Yeah, that's right.
I think what were they, makeup? They like paint. I mean, he was
some of
buff,
those guys.
I mean, he was in shape, but he wasn't in.
They like drew them on. It was like makeup.
It's the 600 guys in the back that they're just CG it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there were only 299.
You're right.
guys
I'm
in
sorry.
the back.
You're totally right.
I mean, Not to get all well actually
That's fair.
on you, but
That's fair.
well actually.
Fassbender.
Did you pause it? Yeah, I know. That was the first time I ever saw Fassbender and didn't know who he was. And it's like, oh, yeah, he's
Nobody
this,
did.
like,
Yeah, he was-
general guy. And yeah.
So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go on the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21.
This is Kevin. You can follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our Patreon at patreon.com/Real Spoilers. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, the NTSB reruns the simulation with a 35-second pause.
Get ready for a spoiler.